Coding presentation. Print. Print is a way to print any word you want to use in Python. You use it with a string or an integer. This is how you print. Then when you press run, it will print hello world. You can print anything as long as a string as long as you put it between a parentheses and 2 quotation marks. You can also just print with numbers. Print 1000 plus 85. Then when you press run, it will print 1085. As you can see, this time you don't need a parentheses. Integers do not need parentheses, only string. Types in Python. The most popular types are integer, float, string, and boolean. Integers are whole numbers that cannot have decimals. It can be positive or negative. Example, -100, 0, 5, 1 million. Floats are decimal numbers. 3.14, -6.2, 10.0. Strings are anything that are in quotations. Usually they're words, sentences, letters, etc. Hello, hi, Bob. A Boolean tells if something is true or false. Variable and inputs. A variable is useful in Python. A variable stores and holds things. You can think of a variable like a box, but it can only hold one thing at a time. Variables can be updated and overwritten. Example, x equals input, type in something. Print x plus everyone. You type something and then type in something and it will print. For example, you type in hello, it will print hello everyone. X is a variable and input is your answer. You can also put a variable as this. X equals int 22, print x. This will print 22 when you run the code. You can also put a variable as any meaningful name you want. Adding 0 plus 1. This will help you know what use this variable is. Conditionals. Different types of conditionals. If statements. If statements check for whether something is true or false. Else statement. Else statement will run if the if statement doesn't work. You do not need an else statement in your if statement. Else statement. Else statements will run if the if statement doesn't and the else statement doesn't. It runs for all other options. You cannot have an else statement by itself. It has to be connected with an if statement. For an else statement, only one or the other runs. If the if statement turns out to be true, it'll run its code and skip the else statement. If the if statement turns out to be false, it is skipped and we move on to the else statement. Example, x equals la la la. This program asks the user for what's today, dates, and what month-wise. This you answer 10 or the first one, if you answer 10 or less, the program will say it's the beginning of the month. I use a if statement for that. If you answer between 11 to 20, it will print it is the middle of the month. That statement was an else statement. The next one is also an else statement. The last statement is the else statement. This is used if the user does anything other. Wait. This is used if the user doesn't have a valid number. It will print invalidate. Loops. A while loop is better at checking conditionals, while a loop is better at counting. A for loop is used to repeat a block of code as many times as you want. Example, for I in loop 3, print banana. This will print banana 3 times The for in the beginning tells the computer we're using a for loop. The I is just a variable that could be anything you would like. It takes on the value of the numbers you're counting. While loop. A while loop are not the best at counting. They are better at checking for conditionals. While loops is just like if statements. Example, running equals true. While running, x equals input how's your day. If x equals good, print that's good to hear. Running false. Else print hope it gets better. This program will ask how you're feeling. If you put good, the program will print that's good to hear and stop. If you print something else, the program will say hope it's better and it'll still stop. Function. Functions are a chunk of code that only run when you call it to, or when we tell it to. We use functions to organize and reduce repetition. To use it, you first start with a definition, whatever name. You put your code here. Now, functions do not run by themselves. We have to call it to make it run. We call it by using the function's name, whatever name. The code that we put inside this function will now run. Whenever you see a function called, imagine that you've placed the call with whatever code that is inside the function. Make sure that the function's names are short, clear, and easy to understand. Try to use meaningful words in the function to define your entire code inside. Big project. The objection was to create a calculator app using functions. These are the steps. First, ask the user to input which operation they want to use. Second, take in 2 integers as the input. 3, create a function for each operation. Step 1. The very first steps were to create an input and ask the user for which operation you want to use. Then you put 3 more inputs. X. Type in a number. L. Which operator you want to use. N. Type in a number. These operators will be used to help the program know what the user wants to solve. The program also has a while loop in it. A while loop is a loop that will not stop running until you type the right thing the program wants. Step 2. The next step is to create an if-else statement. For this if-else statement, I put if the operator equals addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division, it will do that operator with x and n, which is the 2 numbers. Then we would use an input again, which is called cont, short for continue. And if the user says yes, the program will continue. The program will repeat until the user says no. Step 3. The last step was to create 4 functions, one for addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. This will help organize the variable x, l, and n. Thank you for listening.